This is an issue that you could probably run into for another 3 or 4 years, which makes it an issue we should discuss. By the time we're done here, we will see how speed and duplex mismatches can occur and cause major issues. And let me be clear right from the onset. This is an issue that occurs in 10 and 100 megabit per second switches, which in a lot of people's minds are like, oh, not a thing. Is a thing. A lot of 100 megabit per second switches are still all over the place in businesses today because they work, because 100 megabit per second is still a decent amount of bandwidth for a whole lot of devices, and that can lead to this issue happening. In a nutshell, the way this worked is as our standards evolved from 10 to 100 megabit per second, and we moved from hubs to switches, we migrated eventually from half-duplex to full-duplex connections. Speed was almost never something that caused this issue. You would always be able to detect, is that a 10 megabit or 100 megabit per second connection? But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me show you what happens. When you have devices, when they connect, will go through an auto-detect dance. So I've got my switch. You're like, what did you do? I'm performing surgery on this Synology device. It died, and I'm trying to figure out why. So when I plug this device in, snap, it goes, and immediately, if they had power, the detect dance begins. What are you? Are you 10 megabit per second? Are you 100? Are you half duplex? Are you full duplex? The big challenge was in the duplex. So you've got your two devices click together. If both sides were set to auto, they should detect each other correctly. Should. But a friend of mine once said, whenever you see auto, that typically means you auto not use it. And the reason for that is because the auto detect mechanism had problems. Different features, different network cards. Sometimes it would detect incorrectly. So the advice was given, the best practice was given back in the day for network devices that were using 100 megabit per second. Anytime you're connecting them together, you should disable the auto detect mechanism and hard code 100 megabit per second, full duplex. 100 megabit per second, full duplex. Brief reminder, duplex governed who could send or receive at a time. In half-duplex connections, it was a walkie-talkie. If this guy was talking, the other side had to remain silent and listen. This side was talking, the other side had to remain silent and listen. In a full duplex connection, both sides can transmit and receive at the same time. It was a big advantage to have a full duplex connection. The challenge was in how the auto-detect mechanism worked. Because it was designed in an era when hubs were the norm, the standards body said if one side is set to auto detect and it's not hearing from the other side, maybe because you turned it off, it will default to 100 megabit per second half duplex. That's a problem. If you hard code one side to be full duplex and the other side detects half duplex, then you're going to have one side thinking it can only send or receive at a time, while the other is saying, I'm going to send and receive at a time, and you have a whole bunch of collisions and extraordinarily slow performance. That's the problem. A lot of times it wouldn't disable the link. You would just have very bad performance on that connection. Let me show this to you in action. I'm going to go on this router right here, which is using a fast Ethernet 0/0/0 connected to fast Ethernet 2/0/1. See if I can squeeze in my command prompt here. Telnet 192.168.1.1. That's the router, right? Logging in. I'm going to do show IP interface brief, just to give us a flyby review of what's connected. You can see fast Ethernet 0/0/0 right there is showing a status of up, and that it's connected right here into the core switch, fast Ethernet 2/0/1. So I'm going to go in there, and let's just say we're finding best practice, or we're following best practices. I'm doing fast Ethernet 0/0/0. I'm going to do speed 100 duplex full, right? Now, you'll notice, hang on, I'm going to switch scenes here. You can see that I've got my switch. This is the core switch, AZSW01. That port just flipped over to amber. That's because when I configured this, when I set this port, this interface right up here, I know, right there, to full 100 full, it reset the interface. This causes that 30-second delay that spanning tree goes through. So it's not saying there's an error. It's just saying I'm repowering on the interface. Boom, there we go. It's green. Seems like everything's great, right? It is not well. Let me show you why. I'm back on this router. I'll hit Control Z to get back to privilege mode. Show interface status. Looks good. I can see, notice I can see that there's no A there. That just means I've turned off the auto detect and it's now set to full 100. Life is good. But now let's open a second command prompt, and I'm going to telnet over to the switch that this router is connected to, 192.168.1.2. Log in, log in. I'll do, again, show IP interface brief. I can see, yeah, this looks great. Everything's good, right? Show interface status. Dun, dun, dun. Wee, wee, wee. It's Halloween here in Arizona. It's in Arizona because it's not Halloween elsewhere. We're nearing the end of October, so I've got kind of a little drama thing going on. This guy is set to auto detect, and he has detected the connection as a half-duplex connection. Now, there's not much traffic going through this switch right now, but if there were, we would be having major performance issues. And that would be because I'm having a whole bunch of collisions and what's known as late collisions. That is, collisions happening after the time interval than they should. Truth be told, you should never see any kind of collisions on a switch port. That's a hub problem because only one person could send at a time. So if you're seeing a whole bunch of collisions, it should be like bing right in your mind, something's wrong, and it's probably a duplex mismatch. So what's the solution in this case? It's to overrule that auto detect mechanism by going into global config mode, interface fast Ethernet 2/0/1, which is the one connected to that router. I'm talking about this connection right here. I'm going to go in and type in duplex full, and I'm going to completely lose my connection to that switch. This is a big deal, and this is something that happens all the time. Whenever you do this, notice right here, it reset the interface. Well, that happened to be the interface I was using to telnet into that switch. So now I have to patiently wait for that connection to come up. You can see that Windows got bored. It's like, I'm done. I'm killing that connection. So now I'll telnet back in. Life is halfway good. I'll do a show interface status. And you can see that right here, I've got that interface set to full hard-coded. The auto has been removed. Notice the speed is still there. It's saying auto, I'm good at 100 megabit per second. But if you leave it that way, you're one of those people that like, you know, there's like a row of pencils on the table and one of them's crooked and you're like, it's fine. No. Just get there and straighten that pencil back up. It may not cause a technical problem, but it's just dirty. Get into fast Ethernet 2/0/1, speed 100. Enter. Lost my connection yet again because, again, it reset the interface and I have to wait for that 30-second spanning tree timer. In the meanwhile, I'll dance. Oh, wait, no. The floss, that's the thing, right? My kids are trying to do that. Good thing the connection came back up. Notice, since I didn't press the enter key, Windows didn't get bored and time out the connection. So I just hit the enter key. I'm back. Show interface status. And ta-da! Good. To review, this is only an issue on 100 megabit per second and 10 megabit per second, but those should all be gone by now, connections. And it only happens if you have one side hard-coded and the other side set to automatic. So best practice is always make sure you hard-code both sides. If you do, this speed and duplex issue will not be. So you've now seen how speed and duplex mismatches can occur and cause major issues. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.